Let's just bring you a bit of breaking news, which may be of interest to some of you. It's about puberty blockers. Now, these are drugs that are used to delay the changes of puberty in transgender youngsters. In terms of how they are prescribed by the NHS, there has been a lot of controversy over the last few years about this. At the moment, they are only prescribed to children attending gender identity services as part of clinical research, and they are not routinely offered to children at gender identity clinics, but they are still offered. Well, the government, NHS England, has just confirmed that children will no longer be prescribed puberty blockers at gender identity clinics. This is coming from NHS England. It just broke in the last few moments.
A bombshell decision from officials in the UK. Puberty blockers are banned once and for all for minors in a stunning setback for trans rights activists. We're going to see the latest and how it signals the beginning of the end for woke trans activism. And then Jordan Peterson absolutely torches the ultra-woke Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. We're going to see what he had to say and why he said it. You're not going to want to miss this. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these crazy and turbulent and insane times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button and let's dive right in. It is official. The National Health Services of England has announced that effective immediately, all puberty blockers that have thus far been used in gender dysphoria treatment among children are permanently banned from such treatment. It was a stunningly sweeping and unambiguous decision, and it left trans activists, frankly, a bit shell-shocked. Now, if you don't know, according to the Mayo Clinic, trans rights activists believe that puberty blockers can help improve the mental well-being for children struggling with what's called gender dysphoria, which involves a psychological tension between their bodies and their internal sense of gender. As it turns out, officials at the NHS vociferously disagree. They've looked at the science rather than the activism, and they've concluded that puberty blockers do far more harm than good. Elon Musk weighed in on X. He said it very simply and cogently. British officials actually looked at the data and concluded that they needed to shut down puberty blockers for kids. They do far more harm than good. It is really that simple. He was responding to Jordan Peterson's torching of Trudeau, which we'll get into in a mere moment. You're not going to want to miss that. Now, what we have to understand here in what the NHS officials just did is I think they exposed a blatant contradiction that's the heart of the entire woke trans ideology and what has become, frankly, an industry. Trans ideology, especially as it works itself out into a physical altercating industry, is mired in a blatant contradiction where they both deny and affirm basic biology. They both deny and affirm basic biology. So fundamentally, the transgender claim is that gender is radically distinct. It's wholly different than biology, in that biology is physical, whereas gender is personal. Gender, by definition of trans ideology, gender transcends biology. I can be biologically male while personally I can identify as a female. That's the fundamental claim of trans ideology, that there's a radical differentiation between biology and gender. But then, at the very same time, these same ideologues turn around and advocate for kids to be able to go through physical transitions, either in the form of puberty blockers or gender reassignment surgeries, physical transitions that do what? Think about it. What's the purpose of the physical biological transitions? It's to deliberately realign their bodies, their biology, with their preferred gender identity, which negates the fundamental basis of trans ideology in the first place. In other words, if there is no relation whatsoever between one's biological sex and gender identity, if gender is wholly different from biology, then why the hell are you insisting that kids be able to biologically transform their bodies to align with their identified gender? It's a blatant contradiction. The insistence of being able to manipulate the body physically to align with one's gender identity actually affirms that gender and biology are inseparable from one another, which is exactly what trans advocates deny in the first place. And I think what the NHS is basically saying here is, look, guys, we'll meet you halfway. will be willing to grant you that sex and gender are different. But if that's the case, then you simply cannot insist on physically altering one's sex to align with one's gender identity. It really is that simple. Now, what's so interesting here is that this is not the first time Britain has done something like this. Back in April of 2020, UK officials announced that they were officially banning transgender sex change surgeries for all minors, all Brits under the age of 18. And this was during, interestingly, the Boris Johnson administration. We have to remember Johnson was the one-time mayor of London, and he had a reputation for being a rather outspoken supporter of LGBT rights, but not when it came to reconstructive surgery for minors. Johnson, again, who's very friendly to LGBT issues, clearly drew a line there. And we're seeing a similar line being drawn here, which suggests that woke trans issues are beginning to bump up against their limits. We're seeing it here in the United States. Red state governors in state after state, from Florida to Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, Tennessee, they've been implementing bans on trans athletes competing in women's sports, bans on gender reassignment surgery for minors. Internationally, back in June of 2022, the swimming world's international governing body, known as FINA, decisively ruled that post-pubescent biological males are banned, without exception, from competing in women's swimming competition. And we're seeing limits being set up throughout Europe as well. The UK, of course, Italy and Giorgia Meloni, they've been putting restrictions on abortion. Poland, in their previous administration, made similar moves. And, of course, Viktor Orban's Hungary, they've gone so far as to basically end the legal recognition of transgenderism, requiring trans people to affirm their biological sex on all official documents. All of this suggests that trans activism does appear to have bumped up against its limits. So what do you think? Do you support NHS England and their puberty blocker ban? Let us know in the comments section below. Hey gang, our good friend Mike Lindell needs your help. Mike's been on the channel a number of times, as you know, and he's one of the strongest patriots working tirelessly for the America First and MAGA movements in this country. From election integrity to protecting American businesses, Mike does it all. And now, as the cabal of deep state lawyers and election machine companies are trying to take Mike down with frivolous lawsuits, he needs your support now more than ever. And so to show his appreciation, Mike is offering our audience here an incredible MyPillow deal with promo code Turley. If you click on that link below right now, you can save well over 60%. Yes, you heard that right. 60% on all sorts of incredible MyPillow products. Of course, Mike is offering huge savings in the new and improved MyPillow 2.0. But gang, I also couldn't recommend enough Mike's My Slippers as well as his bed sheets. These are some of the comfiest slippers and sheets I've ever owned. In fact, that's the word I would use to describe all of MyPillow's products. Comfy to the max. So don't wait, gang. Support Mike as he fights for election integrity and get some extremely comfy things to boot. It's a win-win. Don't wait. Click on that link below or go to mypillow.com/Turley right now. Jordan Peterson had a thing or two to say to the Canadian soy boy Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who was obviously offended by the NHS decision. Peterson took to X to blast Trudeau's unwavering support of what's euphemistically cast as, quote, gender-affirming care, writing, quote, "Excuse me, Justin Trudeau, I'm a psychologist. Despite the best efforts of your ideological allies, I told your idiot senators in 2016 that your idiot virtue signaling bill C-16 would cause a psychogenetic epidemic among young women. Well, guess what happened? Now I'm telling you something else. The Brits have woken up and banned puberty blockers for kids, as they should have. But the butchers are still operating in Canada. Every day this continues is on you. You're culpable in child mutilation and sterilization. If it was up to me, you'd be tried for it, along with all the other butchers and enablers. You and your toxic compassion. For shame, Canada." What do you think of that? Let us know in the comments section below. I think Peterson is frankly expressing here an increasingly widespread sentiment among the broader population. We have to understand that there's a radical privilege to wokeness that more and more the population is catching on to and wanting nothing to do with. If you think it through, in any society that's concerned with equality and compassion, there will always be a primacy placed on the disposition of mutuality, where there's a reciprocity of cordiality and consideration and respect. That's precisely how we achieve equality and compassion and empathy. It's through mutuality, through this common reciprocity of respect and consideration that we show to each other. That is exactly the opposite of what we're seeing with the grievance groups of woke identity politics. The grievance groups are given a pass. They are exempt from the obligation of mutuality. They are placed by the likes of Trudeau, they are placed in an entirely privileged position that enables them and entitles them to be served, but without having to serve others. That's why the woke are so presumptuous and so condescending and so characteristically rude and disruptive. They see themselves entirely exempt from any social obligation of mutuality and respect. And I think we're beginning to see a massive blowback against that ridiculous sense of childish entitlement. Hey gang, I just wanted to give you a huge note of thanks to each and every one of you, the thousands of you that have recently clicked on the link below and joined our Insiders Club. As many of you know, we took a big hit from big tech. Our channel was completely and totally demonetized, but you, literally thousands of you, stepped in and you rescued me and this channel by bypassing big tech and joining our Insiders Club. You made it loud and clear to the Silicon Valley oligarchs that we're a movement, an army of like-minded patriots who refuse to be silenced by the international woke police. And so once again, I just want to take this moment to thank each and every one of you who have joined our Insiders Club for coming to our rescue. And for those of you who want to join in on the effort and take action, gang, just click on the link below and join our email list. That way we will never, ever, ever lose touch with each other, no matter what big tech does. So just click on that link below, join our email list, and become a part of an army of literally hundreds of thousands of patriots dedicated to taking our nation back, most importantly, together.